I'm gonna be honest, I really didn't have a lot of faith in Hard Knocks this year. As a matter of fact, I was absolutely terrified that we might not even get football this year. Just based off of what's going on with the NCAA right now, I thought it was entirely possible that there's a chance that we don't get football this year. If you look at what's happening with the Miami Marlins, for example, I feel like if what's going on with the Miami Marlins could happen with them, anything could happen in a sport where each team is filled with 52 different players. But if there's one thing that really calmed my concerns, it was our very first episode of this season's HBO Hard Knocks. Now, what's going on, guys? Your boy Mike here, and before we get to the content, please take a moment to leave a like, subscribe, and turn on my notifications. Every single like really boosts this video in the YouTube algorithm, and it really helps the channel grow. On top of that, I live stream on Twitch on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays at 9 p.m. Pacific time. And finally, be sure to check us out on TikTok. We post tons of NFL content there consistently. Now that we got all of that out of the way, break! Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? Last night, I took a look at HBO's Hard Knocks, and it's a very unprecedented Hard Knocks for two reasons. One, obviously the current pandemic that we're all undergoing, and two, this is the first time we had the pleasure of seeing two teams featured on Hard Knocks. And I feel like it's the perfect year to do it because now that there's no preseason, there's going to be a lot more room to fill up that 1 hour gap, and they need as much content as they potentially could get because there's not going to be preseason games. Usually a good chunk of each episode after the first episode has to do with the preseason games and the storylines that come out of the preseason games. So I'm very excited to see what are they going to do to occupy that time. But if you guys have been following along with Hard Knocks, the last time we saw the Rams on HBO Hard Knocks was in 2016. This was the year that Jeff Fisher would get fired halfway through the season. This was Jared Goff's first season with the Los Angeles Rams, and it was also the Rams' first season in LA. And what's really interesting is typically the teams that are selected for Hard Knocks are teams that are trying to get over the hump. You know, they're not exactly contenders, but they're building their way there. And there's some good storylines that come out of it, and this is what the purpose of this upload is. We need to discuss what we saw last night. Now, the first thing we noticed, and I think every NFL fan felt a little bit better, and this addresses what I was discussing in the very beginning of this video, is the fact that it seems like the NFL is taking the necessary precautions in order to have a full NFL season. A lot of the players appear to be of the mindset of, hey, I really got to take things seriously. I got to be extra careful here because if I'm not, I could be the reason why the NFL may not have a season. And a good chunk of the episode just goes into the procedures the NFL is taking in order to be as safe as possible and not spread the virus any further. Which to me as an NFL fan was extremely important because I am also an NBA fan. I cover the NBA on my Flight Mike channel, and there's a whole bubble going on just to prevent the spread of the pandemic, and the NFL hasn't discussed this at all. So that kind of made me concerned. It even made some players concerned earlier that there's no safety precaution being discussed at all. The Dallas Cowboys even came out earlier today and said that they're going to be playing some games in front of fans, and that causes a little bit of concern as well. But it does seem like there are precautions being taken place. Players are getting tested every single day they're on camp. And for an NFL fan, it seems as if at least both LA teams are doing whatever it takes in order to ensure that they don't spread the virus. Now, of course, the head coach of the Los Angeles Rams reveals earlier on in the episode that he contracted COVID. And he said that he wasn't really sure how he got infected. He explained his symptoms a little bit. Rams rookie linebacker Terrell Lewis also tested positive for the virus, and he was literally told to quarantine for a 10-day period, and he returned to the team on August 9th, right before Hard Knocks. Now that we got all the discussion about the pandemic stuff out of the way, we need to get to the actual nitty-gritty about the football aspect. And the first thing that popped out to me was the fact that Hard Knocks took an opportunity in shining a light on two phenomenal players from the 2016 NFL draft class, Joey Bosa, the number 3 overall pick, and Jalen Ramsey, the number 5 overall pick. Both of these players have one thing in common, and it's the fact that both of them are phenomenal defensive players. Jalen Ramsey, in my eyes, is the top corner in the entire NFL, and Joey Bosa is without a doubt a top 3 edge rusher in the NFL. And both of them are in a situation where they need their contracts renegotiated, although Joey Bosa is more in a situation where the LA Chargers really don't have much money that they need to spend anywhere else other than paying Joey Bosa, whereas the Rams are in a little bit more of a troublesome situation. They paid Todd Gurley a lot of money a couple years ago, and obviously Todd Gurley left, so there's a lot of dead money there. They recently signed their quarterback to a huge contract as well. They also have money invested in Aaron Donald, and I think the most troublesome issue for the Rams is the fact that they don't have first-round picks for the next 2 years if you're including this year, so you're not going to really get a lot of good talent coming in, and you're going to have to pay Jalen Ramsey if you want to keep him, especially if he's one of the top defensive players in the league. Now, I haven't seen a lot of situations where a team has been able to keep, without a doubt, the best overall defensive player in the entire NFL in Aaron Donald, and also add further support in locking down the best cornerback in the entire NFL, and that would be Jalen Ramsey. The fact that they have all of this money that has already been allocated, and the fact that they're not really considered to be contenders this season, puts Jalen Ramsey and the LA Rams in a very interesting situation that's completely different from the LA Chargers. Now, the Chargers were able to show Joey Bosa the bag, and it was a very beautiful moment where Bosa was describing what it meant to him and what it meant to his family. Obviously, Nick Bosa's up next, whereas Jalen Ramsey demonstrated a phenomenal characteristic trait and something I didn't really expect out of him. Because if you go back to his years with Jacksonville, Ramsey was very, very upset with his situation there, and he showed up to training camp with a freaking Brinks truck. You know, that's giving a message. This year, Jalen Ramsey seems to be doing the exact opposite, as reporters poached him to potentially give them a headline, which I hate when reporters do this. As a person that hopes to someday be in a situation where I'm asking star players those questions, I usually do whatever it takes not to paint star players in a negative light, even if it means that I could get a couple extra views on my content. So reporters are obviously trying to get Jalen Ramsey to say something controversial about his contract situation, and the entire time he's saying, hey, speak to my agent, I don't want to discuss this any further. It gets to a point where Ramsey gets so upset at the fact that reporters keep trying to broach the subject despite him saying, I'm ready to move on to the next question, that he gets up and leaves. Then he eventually comes back. And I think it shows tremendous maturity and how Jalen Ramsey's so committed to the Rams. He comes in and he says, I want to be a veteran member of this team. I want to be one of the leaders of this team. And the fact that he is committed to doing so is very good news for Rams fans. He's not going to be the distraction that he was in Jacksonville. Yeah, he might not get signed past this season, but I'm sure if I'm the Rams, I'm doing everything I can to keep Jalen Ramsey, even if it means that they're not going to be much of a contender this year. The next thing that I actually took a note of, and I absolutely loved seeing this, is the way Sean McVay was coaching. When we saw the Rams on Hard Knocks last, we got to see Jeff Fisher. And honestly, I don't know about you guys, I had no interest in seeing Jeff Fisher's coaching style, but I love the youth and the energy that Sean McVay brings to the head coaching position. And just seeing the way he jokes around with his players, just seeing the way he just talks to his players, seeing his connection and his relationship with Jared Goff, seeing the way he teaches Jared Goff what to do and why to do it. Towards the end of the episode, we saw Sean McVay tell Jared Goff to work on his cadence now that there are extra walkthroughs because they're trying to limit contact drills during the pandemic, and explain that if you do this here and there, you'll be able to keep the defense on their toes. And just watching the way one of the best young coaches in the NFL coaches is fantastic for me. Something else that I noticed is the Rams' brand new high running back draft pick, Cam Akers, is not taking first team snaps. Malcolm Brown and Darrell Henderson are still ahead of him in terms of the depth chart, which is nothing surprising really, because again, Cam Akers is just a rookie. For the most part, that's something I also paid attention to for those of you guys that are keeping an eye out for fantasy football purposes. Now, for all you know, the Rams could be going with a three-headed rushing attack. They could be doing an RBC because I don't really see a clear-cut front runner as a workhorse running back for the Los Angeles Rams, and they had a lot of success when they just inserted CJ Anderson in there with Todd Gurley when Todd Gurley was dealing with injuries a couple years back, but that's something else that I paid attention to. Another familiar face that we're seeing this year on Hard Knocks is Tyrod Taylor. And he's in the exact same role this year as he was 2 years ago with the Cleveland Browns. He is serving as a bridge quarterback to a promising young rookie prospect. Although there's a huge difference between number 6 overall pick Justin Herbert and number 1 overall pick Baker Mayfield. You see, Baker Mayfield was without a doubt supposed to take the reins as the starting QB, whereas I don't know when Justin Herbert is going to be but I don't know when the Chargers are going to officially transition to Justin Herbert as the starter. Regardless, I am very interested in seeing how this plays out because I look at Justin Herbert as a developmental quarterback. He definitely has the skills, and there's a reason he got drafted in the top 10. A lot of analysts loved bagging on Justin Herbert. I hear this all the time. I even see it in my comment section. A lot of people are already using the B word on Justin Herbert. Maybe it's because he looks like Blaine Gabbert. I don't know what it is. But so far, we've only heard good things about Justin Herbert, mainly from his fellow rookie running back, Darius Bradwell. You see in one scene in Hard Knocks, Anthony Lynn mentions that Justin Herbert is getting better and better each and every day. He's encouraged by his progress, but he still mentions that Tyrod Taylor is going to be the day one starter. And I don't really blame them because in my eyes, I do think the Chargers are a potential playoff team if they live up to their talent. Anthony Lynn seems like a remarkable players coach. They have a suffocating defense that features Melvin Ingram and Joey Bosa and Derwin James and Casey Hayward. They have a great underrated running back in Austin Eckler. They have 2 stud wide receivers in Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. The only thing that's really holding this team back is solid quarterback play, and maybe by throwing in a game manager like Tyrod Taylor before putting a bunch of pressure on Justin Herbert to take the reins of a potential playoff team, I feel like that could do wonders for his confidence and could allow him to prepare for the NFL properly. Now that's going to be it for the episode 1 recap, guys. If you want to see more recaps, let me know in the comment section down below if you enjoy this, and if there's something that you think I may have missed, also let me know in the comment section down below. We're going to be doing live streams as soon as the episode of Hard Knocks ends, so if you follow me on Twitch, we'll be able to discuss it together live. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping the mic until our next upload.